It's funny because I use ChatGPT as like straight up a therapist lately. I tell it all my problems, and I was like, oh, like I want to quit weed, but I don't. And one of my favorite things is to take Adderall and smoke weed and go to the piano room.
You take Adderall and smoke a little weed. That's like the pocket.
That's my favorite thing, dude. ChatGPT called it the piano room cocktail, and I was like, that's so cool.
Welcome to the Real Oshow. I'm Joshua. Joining me always is my brother Zachary. Today we have on a very special guest, stand-up comedian, influencer, and our friend Sean Millea. We talk about using ChatGPT as a therapist, opening for Tim, Dillion, and Mark Norman, and we look into some of his funniest skits. Enjoy the show.
We on road for greatness. They paper getters, they want money more than they want fame shit. I swear we go so hard, we on A-list. I see my niggas prevailing. We going hard for the hand. We gonna stack that we jaded.
This is a great interview. They doing their thing.
We are interviewing a good friend, Sean Millea, who is a stand-up comedian, writer, viral sensation, and like I said, most importantly, our friend. So thank you for taking the time today.
Yeah. I was going to go to the gym before this, but then I woke up and I was like, I'll do it.
We're going after too, but we were talking about fasting before this.
Don't say we. Don't group me in. I've
guess
been
he
up
already
since
did
6 a.m. I've
But
been rolling,
see,
20-minute run. I'm good.
No, but this is the difference though. When you actually are doing a 3-day fast, you figure that you want to fill your day with shit. And that's why I said it's working is almost better to do a fast on, because you're constantly doing shit.
Right.
Where you're not sitting at home being like, fuck, there's food right here. Fuck, I could smoke some weed and eat some food. Like, it's really like a mind fuck. So that's why I said if you do fast, you gotta build
Does
your way
weed
into
make
it.
the fast easier?
Of course.
Kind of better.
Yeah.
It makes
It numbs your
kinda
appetite.
better. It numbs, like for me, like when I smoke weed, I don't get hungry.
Yeah.
So I'm
Me
like,
too.
it
Same.
suppresses
Same.
me. So like sometimes like I don't smoke weed before I eat, because I'll literally, there's been times where I've smoked weed and I'm like, fuck, I just got all this food. I'm not even hungry anymore.
Yeah.
So I like don't do it. Like a weed is like a treat afterwards.
I see.
It's like a cigarette afterwards. Like, you know? Like,
Yeah. No, the weed is the same way for me. Totally. And that's the other thing. After 2 months of being off weed, I was gained a little weight. Just like on the scale, it didn't really look like it, but I'm like,
Yeah.
is it because weed would suppress my appetite? Like
maybe.
Of course.
That's
Maybe.
crazy to me. Of
course.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's definitely interesting. But
I've always felt that way. People think I'm crazy when I say that, because I think most people who actually smoke weed probably don't stack like that. It's the people who like never do it, and then they do it and like, oh, I was just so hungry, because it's been pre-programmed in their head to be like, you get the munchies.
yeah.
Yeah, or it's like, at least when I first smoke, the first hour I won't be. And then I guess as I'm coming down, maybe. But also it gives me anxiety, and then just puts a knot in my stomach. With
What type of anxiety?
It's literally yesterday I went to the piano room. It's funny because I use ChatGPT as like straight up a therapist lately. I tell it all my problems, and it actually gave me a meal plan to not be tired during the day, because I notice if I eat like a cream cheese bagel, I'll crash immediately. It was like, yeah, exactly. You need to have a little bit of protein, a little bit. So I did exactly what it said, and I was like, oh, I actually was not tired all day.
Yeah.
But I told it, and I was like, oh, like I want to quit weed, but I don't. And one of my favorite things is to take Adderall and smoke weed and go to the piano room.
That's the peak.
That's
you take Adderall and smoke a little weed. That's like
that's
the
my
pocket.
favorite
That's the
thing,
pocket.
dude. And the ChatGPT called it the piano room cocktail, and I was like, that's so cool. And so I did it last night, but literally I smoked the weed, and I like it's suddenly it's like anxiety that's like I can't place it. It's like it's just like I feel guilty for something. I don't know what it is. Like I'll think about, literally I was thinking about work. And like we presented to Pepsi yesterday, and I'm like thinking, and I did my Nick Greenberg, he's like my boss now.
Yeah.
He was like, great job, everybody, really good stuff. But all of a sudden, I feel guilty. Like, should I have like said this? Like I feel shame over nothing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's like I can't. It's just
it's like self-reflecting you.
Yes.
I think weed does that in a lot of ways.
It does.
For me personally, when I first threw me into the pond, years ago, that was one of the things that it took me on. It took me on like a very much like projected my future of like this point if I didn't change. Like I always tell people, like smoking weed helped me in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like, the way I think, the way I thought about
Definitely.
things, the way I looked at people. It really made me like reflect on myself, which obviously then projects outwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely weed will have you facing some demons at times, but it's a
Yeah.
good thing though. Like I think it's good. That's why
is
people
what-
take
this-
ayahuasca.
That's a good point. That was the segue I was trying to make. Is I feel like drugs expose what's actually going on in our head, but we may not consciously know.
Yeah, same with alcohol.
That things bothering us.
Alcohol, not as much, because alcohol is kind of like it. That's a little.
I think alcohol brings you down to be like almost like sluggish, and maybe it does get a little bit. But I
don't
always
really care
found
for
like
booze, yeah.
smoking, not really like so much Adderall in a way, but like why so many celebrities take like ayahuasca. It unlocks a different part of your brain.
Yeah.
That's like not that you can't actually consciously notice, but it's eating at you. Bro,
Well,
that's why I-
ChatGPT was telling me it was like you should try and access all these things you like about weed sober, and I'm like, yeah, I guess.
Have you tried ChatGPT for any jokes yet? Have you got any? Have you got
I
anything?
use it to like if I'm like I'm trying to think of like things that like I
jump
won't
off
give
point.
for not for punchlines, but if I'm like looking like what is some things that you might kick or something like you know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
It's a good jump off point. Thing.
Yeah.
Give you some.
Although
of this.
Sometimes because what I'll do is I told it recently about this sketch. The idea is like a firefighter that's like on a mandatory lunch break during a fire, and yeah, and it was like, but I told it to ChatGPT. I forget why. I was trying to ask it a question, and sometimes it'll just start writing the sketch for me, and it
Yeah.
pisses me off because I'm not going to use what you write.
Yeah.
But it had a joke in there that I was like, fuck, that's good. But I'm not going to. I told my friend, he was like, dude, don't use a ChatGPT joke. I'm like, you're right. I don't want to. Because if anybody ever commented on the video and was like, that was a great joke, I would
Yeah.
literally be like so bummed. But it was like the person behind the cameras filming, and it was like, what was it? It was, oh, my kids are going to burn. And then the firefighter responds, yeah, well, I'm going to burn out if I don't rest. And I was like, that's a good line.
That's a good line.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not
Do
going
you-
to
how often do you use like ChatGPT AI?
every day, all
Every
day.
day.
Same.
And
Yeah,
then,
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
what for? Just like content, scripts. You're thinking about something. What?
It's like my new Google. It's just like literally like advice. Like the other day, I met a really attractive girl through a friend and he was like, he expressed a little bit of interest in her, but I wasn't sure. This was like a month ago, and then I was like, it's been like a month later, and I was like, oh, I wonder, like he hasn't really mentioned anything. So I was like, what if I just asked him if I could shoot my shot? And I was so nervous, and I asked ChatGPT, and it was like, I think you're fine. And then I like workshop what I would say. And then I sent it to him. I sent my text, and like 12 hours went by, and normally he answers me right away. I'm like, he's pissed off, and ChatGPT's like making me feel better. and then he answered, and he was like, dude, my bad. I was with my ex. I didn't want her to see me texting about another girl. You're totally, please take your shot. And then I did take my shot. She didn't answer, and it's like making me feel better about that.
So ChatGPT therapy. So there maybe there's a because I feel like
there is a thing to ChatGPT therapy, and I'll say why. In the younger generation, they're using the Snapchat AI as their therapist. That's like a real
Really?
thing going on. Like you're
Interesting.
seeing younger kids talk to ChatGPT about issues at school, therapy, things going on in their life. Like it's a huge rise.
I mean, it makes sense. It's just so much more accessible. It's like it's an ongoing thing. A therapist, like I have to schedule an appointment. They have 100 other people, and you know what? I've always said this about therapists. Who the fuck do they talk to? Because at the end of the day, like they got problems. They got their own life they're living with,
But
and they're
maybe-
helping other people.
But maybe it's because they have more tools to work through their problems, so they're better.
And
at being able to help
ChatGPT's
other
got all those tools too.
Maybe.
So.
Well, I think therapists have therapists too, but I don't know. I do. Yeah, it's just like instant answers, and it gives me advice, and then there's like a memory. So I didn't realize it had memory, and
Yeah.
it kind of
Oh,
creeped
yeah.
me out because I was like, wait, what?
Oh,
Like,
it knows you. Like, bro, I've asked ChatGPT questions, and I'll just ask a broad question, and it'll bring something that I asked 6 months ago up and be
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, well this is a great thing for this person. And I'm like, yo.
Well, that's if you go to the memory. That's what
Yeah.
freaked me out because you could see all the notes it takes, and
Oh,
it was
yeah.
like it refers to me as they, which I was like, whatever. I was like, it said they like to take the piano room cocktail, but it's like all these details. And at first I was like, what are these notes? It was like, oh, I use this so that I could remember our conversations. But at first it read to me like people at ChatGPT taking notes on my conversation. Like I was
yeah.
like, why is this here? But
They might. I mean, they probably are.
I
realistically.
wouldn't be surprised. Yeah,
Do you pay for it, or do you have the free
I
version?
do pay for it.
Okay,
yeah.
smart. So you might be a little bit protected, but I've always thought like the free version, that shit's definitely getting studied. Because they're like,
Yeah.
it's free. We can fucking take all your shit. Where when you pay for it, listen, AI is 100% going to take over in a good way first, and then it'll obviously go bad on some iRobot shit. Like
Yeah,
we've already
yeah.
been told that. But like, artificial intelligence might be the greatest human creation ever.
just to transition into something different, because obviously you're a comedian. One, my first question is, do you got anything big you're working on? Like, do you have a big special you're doing? You got something that you're cooking up? Something in the works? Are you touring? Like, how often are you on the stage right now?
Honestly, this month is slow, but nothing really. I've been doing like. I read this book, Atomic Habits. Have you read that?
I've skimmed it, but I haven't read it.
There's like the main thing I took away from it was like the daily checklist of things you want to do, and so I've been doing like a joke a day, writing a sketch a day, filming something every day, and then it's a couple things, but like basically, and a script. I've been scripting, but like towards like a movie or something, but nothing really. No big plans.
What kind of movie, when you go to write a movie, like, are you thinking, because obviously we've talked, you've written stuff for like Comedy Central stuff or like pitch stuff for them. You've opened for some big people. Like, when you're writing a movie script, is it like go to comedy? Are you going to like a drama? Like, where are you falling?
Right now, I was working on like a dark comedy, but then I kind of finished it, even though it was like bad at the end. I was like, this sucks, but I'm just trying to finish it. And then right now, it's like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm like writing a script about like my sister dying, and it's like sad, but has like all the funny moments that actually happened and stuff. And I just kind of was doing it because I was like, I don't really have anything to work on, and I've been doing the daily checklist. And I had like no script in December, and then like after doing a little bit every day, I'm at like 60 pages. So this one is like sad but funny. But I don't know. And then I had like an idea for a TV show about a jester, but then I smoked weed last night, and I went to like, because part of the script with my sister, I was like, oh, this is just bumming me out every day, so I'm going to try and like work on the jester idea. But after I smoked last night and tried writing, I was like, maybe like my friend that makes fun of me for like thinking this jester idea is good is right. Like, I don't know. I kind of got over the idea finally. I don't know if that was a product of weed or just...
Maybe.
I don't know.
Weed definitely brings out the inner critic.
Yeah.
You got it in you, for sure.
Well, I'll see if I try that again.
Have you taken any of your like short, like, because you've had, obviously, like, I just saw in your story the other day, you had a video that hit 1 million likes on YouTube. Are you not seeing that video and being like, can I make this into a longer form skit? Or like, is there a next scene in that? Like, even if it's just like a 5-minute movie?
People were like, oh, like make a part 2. And I'm like, I don't really know how to make this a part 2. I guess like if anything, I took mental note of like, oh, they like the voiceover story, which is cool. And it's like sort of like it's vlog-y because it's voiceover, but it's fake because I, obviously wrote it. So,
right.
I mean, like, I guess part of me is like, I could just do stuff like that again, but...
I like your docu-series style, like, even if it's like a fake documentary. Like,
yeah.
I think that's stuff like where you do really well is like the fake documentary you're like, because like even like the melon one, I think that maybe is the one that did it.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just laughing. I'm like, this is something absurd. It's about melons and like a watermelon and a melon. But
Yeah.
I'm like, that is just like a minute script. I'm like, you could really lean into like the fake documentary, fake like...
Yeah. It's
like,
hard to know. I don't know what
I think you would win a lot more,
Do you think about through the concepts that you do, and especially the ones that go viral and that's what you were just talking about, the part 2, but when you think about your content, are you trying to be like, okay, this one did really well, like let me try to replicate it? Are you doing it like that, or do you look at everything from a different lens pretty much?
I don't really do that. I just have like a little Google Drive document with all the like video ideas I have currently, and then I'll kind of just go in like, what can I film next? And that's kind of it. I do have like the private investigator video that did well. I finally, after like 3 years, like it went viral 3 years ago. Finally, I was like, maybe I'll make a follow-up. So I recently tried writing that again. But
that's
like,
that one could be like, to me, that one could be more of like almost a long form.
Maybe
like because you could almost lean into it more. Like there is a mystery, but really the whole mystery is just you're just banging the dude's wife.
Well, so
that's kind of fun.
I'm trying to get away from that joke because there's like a similar joke in The Office, and it's like Dwight tries to see if Michael's lady's cheating, and he like hits on her.
Yeah.
And it sucked because like when I thought of it, I was like, it just was like on my own. Yeah. But I had seen all of The Office. I just completely forgot about that scene. Yeah. So it's like, I'm like, it existed somewhere. And so I'm trying to get away from that joke. But the character could still be a horny guy.
But that doesn't mean you shouldn't recreate it. The wheel's already been built.
Yeah, I
change it
know.
a
Well,
little
I
bit.
just
I think it's different. I mean, I hear what you're saying because it's like The Office is like one of the most watched iconic shows, and it's like, but at the same time, I'm like, you could definitely veer it a little differently. Maybe it's not the wife. Maybe it's someone else.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the husband. I don't know.
Well, I think I did the thing. The version I wrote now was it was two different things. One is like, because in that video there was like, you know, he's hired to find out if she's cheating, and then he's also hired to see if this kid's doing drugs.
Yeah.
And he has sex with both of them. That's like a joke. But
Yeah, you just fuck everyone. That's not
Yeah,
it's not that it's just the wife. It's like whoever you go to find, you just start banging them.
But I think
That's
that
kinda
I
funny.
couldn't. If I were to make another 1 minute Chris Carlisle video, I can't just have another he has sex with them joke. Like people be like, all right, we did that already.
Yeah.
So I think it just
There's a
has
different
to be,
twist, but maybe you could end with him having sex with a couple people.
Let me see. I'll run it by you because
should.
maybe
No, you
Show
definitely
us,
should.
give us the joke, because you have a show that's literally writing a joke, like how to write a joke.
That is true. Sketch ideas, scripts. Let's see. Chris Carlisle 2. What was it? So one. Oh, right. So it was like, can he find somebody's biological father? And then, but the end in the joke would be. I mean, it's kind of like hack, I guess.
The
But in the
punchline
end, he
is-
would be. He finds out he's the father of
Yeah.
this chick. But he was hitting on her in the beginning because it was like, can you find my biological father? He's like, only if I could be your daddy. And she's like, haha, oh, Chris. And then,
See, that's what you should. That's great.
and then the other one.
Chris Carr.
The B plot would be where is it? Investigating a murder, I guess. But when he's asked to like see the body, he's given a box of ashes, so he's got to look at the ashes. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
He's
I
like
see what
just
you're saying,
looking
right?
through
Just
dust.
dump it out and just like, oh.
Yeah. I'm like, is that? But there's whenever I have like a fun idea, there's part of me too that I'm like, does that exist somewhere? Is there a video?
You know,
Or-
but I
don't think that matters,
I don't think that
Sean.
matters either. And you know what? To me, I think that you're gonna have a lot more hits than you have misses in this world. So I don't think it matters. I think
Okay.
the only matter for you is to put more content out, because I was telling Zachary, I was like, I rarely see, like, I only see like your big videos. I'm like, sometimes you'll be like, oh, this fucking guy said washed up, or like he,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And I'm like, and you don't like that very much, but like to me, I'm like, no, that is only the response of like you not taking enough at bats. Look at Adam Sandler. He was the most paid actor in 2023 or 2024. Sorry, what fucking movie did he drop? I don't even know. But he
Right.
dropped like 20 fucking movies, and he's done doing stand up, and he's doing all these different things, and it's like people hate on him, but to get a couple classics, you have to have a couple shitties in there.
Totally.
Like look at Adam Sandler has straight up classics, like classic movies, Waterboy, Happy Gilmore, Mr. Deeds, Anger Management, like a long list, but then he has a bunch of fucking duds you never even heard of.
Yeah.
But no one saw him.
Interesting.
So it doesn't
good
even
point.
matter.
It's funny that you know about me posting those comments because some girl the other day at the stand, she's like a manager there, but she was like, yeah, I don't even look at your like close friend story because it'll just be like a comment that's mean or something. And I'm like, oh, is it? Like, I guess it really sticks with people that I post those.
No,
but-
it's just like, to me, because I mean, like, we get tons of negative comments all the time. I get told I'm a fucking idiot all the time in my videos. I'm like, whatever.
Oh, really?
You know, I think it
Interesting.
doesn't like I don't like I'm so like disconnected from the content that I'm
Yeah.
like, if I make a video and it literally gets 500 views, which happens all the time, I'm like, well, fuck, dude, no one saw it.
Right.
No one even saw that I made a shitty video.
That's a good point.
So it's like-
I've told that to people too, where it's like if it bombs, that means nobody saw
No
it.
one
Why
saw
do you
it.
care? But at the same time, when I post something that bombs, I'm like, everybody's seeing. Like, look, he. I don't know.
No, because if everybody was seeing that, it would be viral.
Yeah, it'd be viral. Like,
but
it's-
I don't know. The only likes I get on the videos that bomb, at least on TikTok, will be people I know, and I'm like, stop. Like, why can't it be like? I don't know. It's so
Yeah,
annoying,
I mean,
but it doesn't
I can
matter.
understand that. Like, I mean, listen, we've dealt with that for like we're finally like get like a little bit more view, and you're like, oh man, it feels good a little bit. But at the same time, I'm like, fuck it. If it was just my boys liking it down the street, at least they
is what
liked
it
it.
is.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
a
like
good
fuck
point.
it.
That's
You
a
know,
good
like
point.
I think that there's just I don't know. To me, I'm like, you never know what's gonna hit. Right?
Yeah.
I never know. Like I never make a video and I'm like, this is the one. Actually, in fact, the ones where I make a video, I'm like, that's the one. Never is the one.
Yeah, that's true.
Never
as
is
well.
the one. It's like
And then it hurts my feelings though.
so that's why that's why I've like disconnected myself from. I'm like, fuck it. It's either good or bad. But I'm like, if someone gives me an idea, I'm like, but a lot of people are fucking with it. I'm like, all right, let's make it and see how it does. And then sometimes it flops, sometimes it doesn't. And you're like, hey,
Do you
More
have a
shots.
sense of like when you're making something or you're planning something or scripting something that you're like, this could go viral? or you're still like, I don't fucking know? At this point?
Yeah, I mean, always. I think it's like most things I make, I'm like, I think this could do well, and then when it doesn't, that's when it hurts for sure. But yes. Next week, I'm making one that I don't know, it could do well, but it's like I bought things. That's the worst, is when I buy things and I'm going to Jersey to make it.
Yeah.
Because, like people that steal packages from porches, like the porch pirates.
Oh, yeah.
So me and my friend were saying it'd be funny if it was just like actual pirates. And they're like,
Just stealing pirates.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
And like he was like, oh, like, we
Get some
pull
ring
up.
cam footage.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And we're
Yeah.
like, I bought swords, pirate hats, hook hand, and because he was like, oh, we could put like the pirate flag in the bed of the truck and we like hop out of it. And,
Oh, yeah.
but it's like, dude, I spent probably like $350 on props, and I'm going to Jersey to film it. And
That's
it's like,
okay.
It's time.
Yeah.
You know, it's time. It is that. Like, I mean, I've done, like, we did a fucking vlog the other week where it's like we go to all the way to Notre Dame. Like, we freeze our dick off for hours. We're there. Then it takes like a week to build the fucking vlog, and then it's like 400 views.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you're just
But
like,
that was
whatever.
for YouTube, though?
That's for YouTube.
Well, I think the perk of YouTube is like it can go viral a year.
Anytime.
It's
from now.
longevity.
That's it's
Yeah.
and that's why we build everything. Like, we know we're building this out that if we do pop and people like us, it's like there's a whole catalog of like, oh, they did
Totally.
vlog, they did do like, so it's like for us, we're always thinking the long game. We're just like, fuck it. If it takes 10 years, it takes 20 years, whatever, we're just gonna hustle it.
Totally.
But you know,
Actually, I have a question because I've been curious. I think you're on episode 10 of Pretend I'm Your Friend.
I just recorded it, yeah. And then
You just recorded, so you haven't even dropped it.
Yeah.
Tell us about why you wanted to start that show, because I actually think it's brilliant.
Okay. Well, I was opening for Tim Dillon a lot, and he's got a solo podcast, and he makes a lot of money. So I was like, this would be cool, and it seemed like a possible way to leverage YouTube. And I enjoy. I kind of enjoy. Well, I enjoy it less lately. I don't know what it is. It's more just like when I sit down to do it, or like I can't bring myself to sit down to do it a lot, but. I think it is just like the idea that, oh, this is like a good people that have like comedians that have podcasts sell tickets easier, and then it's
100%, because people like that's my point. I'm like, you have almost 1 million followers on YouTube. More content is better because people are gonna want to consume more of your content.
Right.
I don't think it's like don't be worried about it. People would probably listen to you talk bullshit for an hour. Every week. They won't care. And that's the same thing with Tim Dillon and a lot of other people. Like you've opened for Tim Dillon, you've opened for Mark Norman. One, how is it being with them? Like, you've obviously spent a lot of time with them.
Yeah.
Like, how is it? One, is it different? Are they giving you any advice that you're like?
They give different kind of. Mark's more like joke writing advice, stand up advice. Tim is like life advice, career advice, I'd say.
Well, Tim's content is a lot of like life advice, you know,
Yeah.
like for like, or at least like poking fun at a lot of people's lives,
Yeah.
because he in fact has lived a pretty interesting life and kind of has like worn it on his sleeve and been like, fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah. Also, Mark is obsessed with stand up and loves stand up, and it's like his passion. Whereas Tim is like, I don't really watch stand up. Like, he doesn't care about he likes doing it and being funny, but I don't think. He doesn't like care about the joke writing process. Like Mark is like, he likes the science of it.
Yeah.
So I think that's where they kind of differ as well.
What's the best piece of advice one of them's given you?
Well, I did Tim's Patreon podcast, and they were calling me like the comments were like, calling me the F slur and what else? Like, this guy's boring, or they were like, this guy talks too much, or it was like, this guy's not talking at all. And so like, but I was like, told them, I was like, because they like actually hurt my feelings, especially because I did his show, and then the comments on the Patreon was like, one of them was like, just saw this guy open for him last night, he sucks. I was like, yeah. So I told Tim it was bothering me, and he was like, dude, they don't even like me, they're not gonna like you, like don't read the comments. So like that was pretty good. And then
I feel like that's like definitely some people's communities are just like, they just are full of hate. Like, I think Tim Dillon's one of them, where it's like all of them just talk shit. In the like, that's like their community is like, they're just shit talking the whole time.
Yeah, and that's kind of his thing. So it's like
So you have to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Because it's like,
so.
who the fuck is that dude?
I just imagined the comments being like, who's this up and comer? Get him on here all the time. And
You
then
know,
it's like,
I don't. Everyone wants those comments. You know?
but also Tim does. It's not like I was sitting there. It's not a conversation. It's
Right.
Tim talking, and he's riffing about something, and then it's like and then he'll look at me, and I'll be like, yeah. Like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Like, he's not really, like, inviting a conversation.
Yeah.
Right. I've seen Tim's show before, and it's like he's just throwing crazy takes out. Like, it's like he wants the shock factor. He wants people to clip. Like, that's it's.
If it's a celebrity guest or like somebody that is a comedian on his level, it'll be more of a back and forth. But when it's me on the Patreon, he's just doing his thing, and I'm there to just kind of laugh.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You know.
Like, you're like the color guy. You're just on there. When he looks at you, you go.
Yeah.
So, let me ask you then. So, what was the best advice? I guess just to go.
Yeah.
What was the best advice that Tim or Mark gave you on that? Like, whether it was joke, whether it was like life advice, whether it was just like, yo, don't worry, it takes 10 years in this comedy world to like.
Mark told me once, like, when I had a joke that I was scared to do, he was like, don't be a pussy, and that was nice. And I think that's probably like the one that I think about the most, you know, because and then Tim, he said something to me that I don't know that it's the best advice, but it is just like the two things that stand out the most was after I got off stage, I was like, I was doing crowd work a little bit, but it wasn't going. Like, I couldn't think of anything funny, but I get laughs because I'm sort of awkward and charming about it. And it's almost like the fact that I don't know what to say is funny. And he was like, yeah, that doesn't last forever. So that was kind of good advice.
Who gave you that one?
Tim. Yeah.
You ever been like, hey, Tim, Mark, like, when you guys gonna fucking drag me to the Joe Rogan show? You know?
No, I mean, Tim brought me and John Kennedy to Austin, Texas when he was doing the podcast.
Yeah.
And we landed. We took a private jet there, which was crazy in itself. But we went to. We landed, and then he was like, all right, I'm going to go do the podcast. You guys, I'll meet you later. So I was like, fuck, we didn't get to go with him. But no, neither of them, if I asked them something like that, they would be like, I would never speak to them again. So
interesting.
Wow, you think they'd be like offended?
Not offended, but it's just like the sort of thing where it's like.
Have you ever been like not like asking straight in the nose like help me get in the room with Joe, but like you're never like, yo, next time you guys are in Austin, I would love to do a show at Joe's place.
That's a no-go. Yeah, no, because like you don't like when you ask something like that, it's kind of like it's just off-putting, I guess. It's like you're asking for a favor in a sense.
Right, I got it. I always just wonder because like comedy is definitely a different.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Everybody, like my mom tells me to do that, and like I don't blame. Like it is a.
But like, how hard is it to actually get into Joe's Comedy Store? Is it really hard to get in? Like, is it, that's where I wonder.
Yeah, I think so. Like, it is definitely like everybody, there's a bunch of comedians in Austin. They'd all love to perform there. So.
Is Austin kind of like the new hub of comedy?
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, when I was there, it was a lot of shows and easy to get up, and like the audiences were good. But I don't really know. I still like New York,
Yeah, I feel like New York is always going to be the OG spot.
Yeah, there's just so many people. Yeah, just
so much stuff to poke fun at.
Yeah,
and it's like the only place you can like poke at people's races in New York.
Well, in Austin you can, and they probably like it more, but but
for sure.
Yeah, but
that's a good segue where you like being based in New York. What's it like trying to become a known stand-up comedian, like the behind the scenes that you're going through, things you have to do, maybe the hoops you have to jump through, like take us through that a little bit.
It's definitely like, I mean, right now it just feels like I wait for people to invite me to do their shows, and then that happens, like I just get DMs on Instagram, and like right now I literally have 2 shows this month coming up. One is like, I mean, it's possibly, Tim said I could do his birthday show next week, but he's got like, Louis C.K.'s on it, so that's very likely that when I'm going to be standing there, and I'm just never going to be invited to do it. Like, so that I'm not banking on, but that and then some like gong show at the end of the month. So like right now, it's like go do open mics or go hang out at like my friend owns a club in Williamsburg called Flophouse, and they might throw me on. So it's kind of like just hanging out, waiting and doing your thing, hoping to get invited, or like and then like make videos and stuff so that people you're reminded that you're funny, and then they'll be like, come do my show.
Right.
That's kind of what it is. Otherwise it's just like asking people, and I guess I could put myself out there more and being like, can I do your show? Or like, people do that, but there is a world where if you don't ask the right way, you rub them the wrong way.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's really a relationship, and I don't know the relationship you guys have with them. But I always think it's never a bad thing to ask. And I think comedy, like just from like knowing a few comics and seeing how they maneuver, it is definitely a different world where I think comedians do get very territorial, very, like, hey, whoa, like, I'm getting my shine here a little bit. Type thing. Not to say they are, but
Joe Rogan, literally, I'm listening to Joe Rogan, Andrew Huberman's like old podcast like years ago. It was like 2020, the one I'm listening to. And Joe Rogan was literally talking about how a lot of stand-up comedians who are selling a show or a tour will bring bad comics with them. So when they come on, they like kind of save the show, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's
I've asked Mark
hilarious."
about that. I've wondered that as well because he said because Jeff Asmus is a very funny comedian, and I think he had him open for him once, and he just like crushed before he got up there, and he's like, "Oh shit!" But he did say. He claimed that he doesn't bring he doesn't bring them based on if they're bad or good, which but he was bringing me that day.
That's
just trying to make you feel better.
That is really kind of interesting. I never thought about that. A comedian doesn't want, like, if you're the headliner, you probably don't want the people in front of you just murdering.
Because when I am on a show, there's nothing that stresses me out more than hearing the audience laugh before I go up.
Really?
Yeah.
See, to me, I'm like buttered up. Like when I go to a show and I like got a couple people laughing, I'm like the next person up has just as big of a chance. Like I'm already laughing.
Right.
So I'm already in a great mood.
Right.
So it's like to me, I'm like
that is. And
but I'm also not a guy who's on the other side of it. I'm not like I feel like a stand-up comedian is a very hard job to do because you're in a new spot every time, new people. You have no idea.
Well, historically, people like comedians do say like, "Oh, the crowd's hot," or like, "You need to warm that." Like if like the comedian before you bombs, the host is expected to do a joke to get them laughing again. So like, what you're saying is like true.
Yeah.
So it's just my own anxiety, I think.
For sure, you're like, "Fuck!" If they're laughing and I don't make them laugh like this.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
No,
exactly.
I feel you. No, there's definitely a lot of instant feedback that comes with comedy, which obviously makes it seem a little bit more intense when you're looking at these people and they're just not laughing. Like
totally.
I can definitely see how that would be humbling at times to be like, "Fuck this."
Yeah. Yeah.
When was the last time you bombed?
And
And how did you feel?
Well, I think it was like recent. I'm trying to. Like literally, like last week there was like a show at the art house or whatever, and it was just like it was like a party outside the room. It was like all lesbian parties or something apparently, and it was like super loud. And then I went up first, and the guy that runs the show was bringing chairs in to like sit the people that didn't sit yet, and people are like zoning out, and that was a struggle. And it's embarrassing, it's like, but then when you get off, it kind of feels good. It kind of feels like an ice bath or something. Like
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
gym, and then
It's
like,
interesting.
Nah.
Sometimes you need to have those bad ones.
yeah, well, it feels like, or like when you go to the gym and you're sore after, like you want to feel kind of bad, I guess, because it feels like I did more almost than if I had just crushed the workout and don't feel.
How many
Right.
how many of your shows are like paid, or is it mostly free?
I don't even know, because sometimes I'll get like a hit up like a month later, like, "What's your Venmo?" But like at this point, not many.
I was curious because I was watching Shane Gillis's something in Austin, like Shane Gillis from Austin or whatever the fuck it is, Austin, Texas. One of his first specials he put on.
Oh, the YouTube one.
Right. Are you working on your own like hour special where you can like really rip it? Because I feel like Shane, like you look at that video, it's got like almost 100 million views.
Yeah.
It's a 50-minute like. There's a lot of power in that. I think a lot of that came with like how big he is now is because of that show.
Totally.
Like, are you thinking in your head, like, obviously you have like a little bit of like 7 minutes, skits or, even stand up on your page, but are you thinking about dropping like a full, your own special?
Yeah, for sure. I actually have like a little document that I just created the other day. Like, I should probably start thinking about this, like at least an hour. So yes, but I would say that I'm like semi far away from that
Right.
In terms of like being ready to film it. But that is like a goal, I guess. Because
I feel like 25 minutes though is like enough. Like if you got a 25-minute show out and you did well on social, like it's like obviously you'll be able to clip the fuck out of it, whatever. But if that does good, what is to say that you can't go to an executive and be like, "Yo, I want a Netflix special. I want to."
Well, if I put out 25 minutes and then went to Netflix, then they'll be like, yeah, all right, we'll film an hour. It's like, well, I just burned.
But what if they gave you a
25
bag?
minutes.
But what if they gave you a bag? For
Well,
that?
then it's just like you got to grind to get an hour.
That's what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
is that something that interests you? Like in best case scenario, would you rather make it like? Do you want to make it big in that sense, where like you're getting Netflix specials selling out crowds, or is it like I would rather actually be on the other side of it and be like writing scripts, making movies, doing stuff like that?
I would want to do a little. I think what Shane's doing is cool. He's making a show, does stand
Yeah.
up still. I think that would be very cool.
Definitely.
I just got to figure out what the show would be.
Lo-fi shows. Like that's all filmed in one tire shop.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
That's recreating the wheel. The Office is 98% shot in that one office.
Right.
There's like a real value to it. What is Always Sunny in Philadelphia is mostly in the bar.
Yeah.
'Cause he's a big fan of that.
Yeah.
These shows that are like one scene pretty much, it's because I think for the viewer, they know exactly what it is. When you're always moving around, it's like they got to be like, okay, where are they at? They're at this coffee shop. And I think the value it gives the viewer of just being in the same spot, you know the characters. Like there's not, how many characters are in Tires? 5, 6?
I actually haven't seen it.
It's actually
great.
it's
You
actually
should
hilarious.
watch it.
But I mean, but you look at it, it's like super lo-fi, 20-minute episodes. It's quick. There's only like 6-7 episodes in the first season. I mean, like fuck, like Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They shot the first episode for $200 in their own apartment.
Yeah.
Then sold it to FX, and FX was like, fuck, we like it, but we're gonna change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they just changed it up. And so it's I don't know.
Yeah, I that would be cool. I also like Louie though, which is a show. You've seen Louie's
Oh, yeah,
show?
yeah, yeah.
And that I really would be cool to make because I have like in my notes like all these different like New York experiences
yeah.
that would make for. But I would have to think of like how to make it my own because right now like
Yeah.
it's just sort of like
There's a really good show. It's escaping my mind right now, but High Maintenance is I think that's what it's called. It's on
yeah, I
HBO.
remember that one. Yeah.
It's a guy who's a drug dealer in New York, and he just sells weed and he just bikes. And every episode's different. It's just him with these people that he's selling drugs to. And like the first episode, it's like an actor guy who's like pretending to like fuck with him for a role.
Right,
And then
right.
you find out afterwards that like he was an actor, but the guy never finds out. So he's like, what the fuck? This guy's got a samurai sword and shit. And it's like, it's hilarious, but like there's just some nut jobs. And it is a good show
Forgot
because
about that show.
it's never ending because you're just, like you said, just people I meet in New York.
Right.
How many fucking Looney Tunes are out here?
Yeah,
A
totally,
million.
totally.
Millions.
8 million. Yeah.
8 million, literally. So
Awesome. I think if you made it this far, drop a like, leave a comment, hit subscribe. Sean, we really appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah.
we got-
Thanks. How long do we hit?
we're like 45 minutes
Nice.
in.
That's a
I mean,
long one.
honestly, we want to do like more of a vlog with you. Maybe we do like a show or something. Maybe we do like what it's like to get ready for an on, whatever.
Whatever you guys want. I don't
dude,
care.
I'm down to. We're just always down to be
All
shooting
right.
content.
Cool.
Or if you need extra hands, like bro, you're shooting stuff. I mean, if you, we're not much actors. We're not gonna say we're funny guys. But if you
Totally.
need some extra bodies or like someone else, just let us know, bro.
All right.
We're
Yeah,
always
I was
around.
gonna make you film something for me, but I didn't have the costume.
Yeah,
so.
he said he bought a costume and it's
Oh,
not.
dude,
Yeah.
that would listen when it happens. Let us
Yeah, that's
know
for sure.
because it's
All
just
right,
it's all just BTS for us. We can shoot some vlog or whatever, and it's like our vlog comes out way later than
Yeah.
whatever content you posted
Yeah.
anyway. So
Yeah.
it's like
Okay.
it wouldn't never interfere.
Lean on
or
us,
anything.
brother.
Yeah.
All right.
for
Cool.
sure.
We're here to help.
Sweet.
All right, guys. Peace.
Pros, I gotta stack out this gold. I tell you I'm on the road. About to get all this dough. Me and no fuck niggas know. I swear to God we the ghosts. This ain't the story they told. Man, if you know, then you know. I never had to tell my dogs that we on road for greatness. They paper getters, they want money more than they want fake shit.